You're listening to Daniel W. Shrigley's Survival Talk Radio, the official survival talk radio of America's Survival Son. Come and learn survival.
Survival, son, survive this.
Hey everybody, this is Dan Shrigley with Survival Talk Radio and also Survival Trek Escape Talk Radio for iHeartRadio. Survival Talk Radio on Spreaker. Anyway, I would love to tell you that I went and bought a Bear Grylls Gerber brand and manufactured survival kit. The ultimate survival kit with Bear Grylls endorsement on it. I took it, bought it, opened it up, tore it apart, and compared to what I thought would be based along the lines of practicality and cost. So, here we go. Let's dive into it. First, it comes with all the basic necessities of a survival kit. Now, my posture towards a survival kit is it's better to have something than have nothing, okay? So, remember that. And you should also always have a first aid kit. But with Bear Grylls' ultimate survival kit, meaning the ultimate being his best kit he's got, one with all the goodies, it comes with some fishing hooks, comes with fishing line, comes with some waxed string, comes with fire striker, with a ferrule rod, comes with 2 whistles, one attached to the pouch, and then there's one inside of the bag. And then also it comes with a very small signal mirror. It comes with a what looks to try to be a utility tool or a pair of Gerber type plier utility tool. It's really tiny. So as I was going through the Bear Grylls survival kit, the ultimate survival kit, that's the black one, not the orange one, and it obviously comes with his little Bear Grylls survival tips, little brochure thing that comes in it. And then on the back side it has, hand and arm signals and communication stuff for aircraft and, how to call for rescue. That's all good stuff. I'm not going to discredit that because I look at survival as any kind of information that's positive and accurate and correct going out is good information. So we can't tear Bear Grylls apart on that. And this is not to tear Bear Grylls apart. This is to actually treat that product as a product and give it a really fair review, okay? So, in all fairness, with Bear Grylls survival kit, it comes with the basic stuff that a survival kit would want to have or need to have to give you some sustainment. Now, where I would say spending $54 on a kit is very expensive, and what you're paying for is branding and commercialization, and you're buying his name. Now, if we were to rewind and actually take that $54 and go to an outdoor store and individually buy things, you're going to come out with a lot more for your survival kit if you would do that versus going and buy a prefab kit. So go make your own kit. You're going to get more fishing hooks, a lot more fishing line, a lot better twine. The little rope that came in there, the little white rope that comes in there, it doesn't have any internal guts, so you can't rip it apart like paracord, and therefore we lose some use with that. It's wax-based, or it's plastic-based, meaning I can light it and melt it with, a lighter, which is okay. It's a static line. It means it doesn't give. It's not a dynamic little piece that is stretchy. So it's definitely not something you can use to make fishing line out of. Now, Bear Grylls kit does come with some little wiry, like snare wire, which is fine with that, but you could get a spool for just a couple bucks, or maybe even cheaper, like $1.29 or something, and get a whole bunch of that for snare wire, and then you'd be able to set a lot more snares versus one snare, or maybe two if you're lucky, if there was enough. It depends on the size of the critter you're trying to catch. So, in all fairness, I would say that there's some things with the kit that I think are lacking. One cotton ball, so you pay $54 to get one cotton ball, and we know what the cotton ball is for. That's so you can catch your spark and start a fire, but you only get one chance. So if you're going to buy this kit, you might want to rip that cotton ball up a little bit and make a couple little smaller cotton balls and get some very combustible material to catch the flame off the cotton ball if you're using the ferrule rod and the cotton ball to catch the sparks off the ferrule rod. Now, we know that sparks off the ferrule rod are coming at it at plus 5,000 degrees versus if you were pounding rocks together, which is about 2,800 degrees in heat. So ferrule rod is a lot hotter because it's molten metal, all right? So, and so that cotton ball is going to catch, and when it does, it's going to catch really fast. I always go the extra mile. I would put a little bit of rubbing alcohol on my cotton balls because that's flammable, and you'd be able to definitely guarantee you're going to catch a spark with that. And so treat your cotton balls. You're going to need about anywhere between 5 to 10 of them inside a little Ziploc bag. Roll them tight and have just a little bit of rubbing alcohol dropped on each cotton ball, and then you can use that to catch your spark. There's a lot of methods. A lot of people have different ways they like to do things. There's no set standard. So if you're going to build this kit, you could easily walk over. I mean, you can do this in any retail outlet, or you can go to a specialty store. But go look for a signal mirror. They're not that expensive, and they're a lot better than the one that Bear Grylls has. They have credit card size signaling mirrors for signaling aircraft. The larger your reflection platform for catching light, the better. Now, we all know that you don't have to have a designated signaling mirror that has the little circle in the middle or the little star cut out so you can see through it and aim. That's called an aiming point mirror. I recommend you have an aiming point mirror, but you don't need one. If you have a compact, like women have makeup compacts in their purse, and they usually are circular or square or rectangle, and they're large enough where they can put their makeup on in them. That's large enough that you can use one of those to signal it. So if you happen to have a lady that has a makeup bag in her her pocketbook or her purse, then ask her if you can use it, and you can use that for a signaling device. So it's all about what you need for your kit. And these survival kits that are prefabbed, they're just basic. They're not necessarily custom to you. You want to add things into your survival kit that are going to be things that you will definitely use. And you want to make sure that you have things in your survival kit that have 3 or more uses in them, if at all possible. So that way you're conserving space and getting more uses out of each item that you put in there. So that's another thing that you want to have into great consideration. So with the Bear Grylls survival kit, as I tore it apart and was looking through it, I wasn't thoroughly impressed for $54 or the $50 range for what that would offer. But at the same time, I can see how somebody that isn't very rehearsed with what they should have in a survival kit would easily think that's the quicker, fastest route, and if money's not an object to them, they don't really care about the cost, at least they have something, because something is better than nothing. However, if you're going to take the time to even think about being prepared, take the extra 10 or 15 minutes out of your time that it took you to walk to the store and go and pick out and compare. Look at the items that are listed on the package, and then go and find those items in the store in their bulk size or their traditional packaging size. I bet you can buy all the items that are in that bag for roughly around the same amount of money that prefab kit cost you, and get a lot better quality. All right. Now, having a multi-tool that is smaller than the palm of my hand in the survival kit, to me, serves absolutely zero purpose. It's not going to be durable. The little pliers on it, I have no idea what the heck you would use those for in a survival situation, unless you're trying to pull up a plant by the roots or something. Or, it does come with some really small tweezers, and it has like a screwdriver on it, but it's super small. So to me, that's not practical. You're just better off getting yourself a really good survival knife or a fixed blade knife that's going to be durable and maintain a good solid edge. And if you're going to get a knife, this is my personal preference, but if you're going to get a survival knife, you want the blade to be heavier than the handle, so you have some chopping power when you're coming down on something. Because when you are, needing to use a knife to chop, it's always better to use it as if it was an axe. So the sharper your blade, the better. And then also, if you're using a folding knife, then obviously the handle's going to be heavier than the blade, and that's normal, okay? But you're going to want to have it comfort fit to your hand. So try a couple out, hold a few. Some people really like the quick release blades where they can flip them open really easy, and then some people don't like that, and they like the fixed blade, so that that sits inside a sheath. So it's all about preference. Now, I think that you can do a lot more with a fixed blade for survival, and that I recommend that that's what you have, because it's more durable, it's not going to bend, it's not going to break. And you also want to look at and make sure that if you're in the United States, especially, and you're buying a knife, try to avoid products like Gerber. Most of their products are made in China. Now, I don't know about you, but foreign countries, from my experience, like to take shortcuts. And so even if Gerber is enforcing a certain standard of production and manufacturing, I've still seen their products break fairly easy with just a little bit of strength, a little bit of torque behind it. So make sure that what you're spending your hard-earned money on is going to last. So American-made products like Buck, I would really enforce a Buck product. Buck knives are good knives. Now, I'm sure that Buck knives break too, so you got to use your knife as a tool, and you want to conserve your blade. I always carry 2 minimum knives on me. One is my survival knife, and then one is my multi-purpose knife, which is the one I use all the time. And I just keep the blade sharp, and I use it. It doesn't have to be a huge blade. It's usually around the size of the palm of my hand. It's really sharp. It's kind of thin, and I use that to do everything I need, because anything I would need to use a knife for is going to be more intricate detail stuff. If you're in a wilderness situation, all you have is a survival knife, then you're going to want to protect that knife and keep it safeguarded and not lose it. So when we come to knives, we can get into a whole slew of topics about what to look for knives. But maybe if we could get some input by the listeners as to what they like about certain knives and what they expect and what they look for and what they've experienced based on the knives that they use and when they would use them, especially if it's the outdoors or even in an urban survival environment. What is it that you're interested in? A lot of guys like the military-style knives, the combat knives, but then a lot of guys like the bushcraft knives. So it's really all about personal preference. Now, as far as a survival kit goes, inside the kit, it also included a saw. And it has 2 rings on one end, and it's a wire saw. It has little pokey things down a wire, and you run it back and forth like a saw. And I've noticed that those type of saws, they don't last a long time. They're the reason they don't last is because, one, you're putting tension on them, and you're torquing down on it when you're pulling it back and forth. And the other thing is that they get hot from friction. And when metal gets hot, especially thin metal like that, it tends to break after you use it a little bit. So you're going to really want to kind of expect that that is a item that looks cool, but is it really practical? Probably not. So why wouldn't you go get you a folding collapsible handsaw and put that in your survival kit? They're not that expensive, and you're going to get a lot more uses out of it than a wire. It just makes sense to me. So, or you could get a survival knife that has teeth on the back end of it, and you can use that as a saw as well. So, and then if we were to get deeper into knives, which I might have to do an episode that's dedicated to survival knives and utility knives and military knives, and tactical knives, things like that. But you know, some people like a straight blade knife, and then some people like knives that have serration on them. So I really have to say that it really goes down to personal preference and what you're going to use your knife for. I think it's a lot easier for you to sharpen your knife in a survival situation using a whetstone, or using something that you know that is going to keep the blade sharp. So some of these knives, they come with knife sharpeners, but they're diamond tip. Those wear out after a while. They're not indefinite. They're not going to last forever. As you're sharpening and scraping the blade against the diamond sharpener, it is wearing away the thing that makes it sharpen, and that's the diamond edge. So those wear out pretty fast. But usually sandstone or knife sharpeners that are made from stone tend to last a lot longer. And they're not as fancy looking, but they're more practical. You're going to get a lot more uses out of those kind of knife sharpeners. So put one of those in your survival kit. Now those ferro rods that are circular and tubular, and you scrape down them, those don't last as long as the survival fire strikers that have magnesium bars on them. So go get you a magnesium fire striker. You can scrape some magnesium off with the back of your blade, never with the blade. You always scrape magnesium with the corner edge of the back of your blade. Trust me, folks, it's going to scrape off enough magnesium. If you start scraping your blade edge down that magnesium, all you're going to do is damage your knife and take the very sharp edge that you've taken a lot of time to either protect or put on it. So don't use the bladed edge. Use the back of the knife and scrape it with the corner edge of the back of the knife, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And you can get some magnesium off of it. Or you can dedicate a specific type of tool that scrapes the magnesium off for you and use that. Now, survival kit that Bear has offers some matches and stuff, but we're talking like 4 or 5 matches, and you just drop $50+ on it. You would expect to get a full little bag of matches or a little booklet of matches, right? Well, you don't. You just get a few. It's kind of funny. All right, so I'll promise you guys that when me and my business manager and investors finally do orchestrate getting my product lines going, anything I give you guys is going to be worth your while. It's not going to be cheapskated. I just don't see throwing something in a survival kit that has one-time use. I don't see something that should go in your kit that has only one specific use. And I cannot understand how how a survival kit from Bear Grylls has got one cotton ball. That's what really cracked me up. Like, how much can a cotton ball cost you, really, as a manufacturer when you're ordering by the bulk? And you can only take the time to put one cotton ball in there? Boy, it's like, I better get this fire. This is a one-time deal. I got the Bear Grylls fire, cotton ball. So it's funny, and you got to laugh at it because its commercialization it makes you laugh. All right. So anyway, like I said, I'm not beating up Bear Grylls kit. I'm pretty impressed that the guy's got one. I wish I had mine out already, but when I do, it's going to be right, and it's going to, I look at people as they spend a lot of money. $54 is a person's day wage nowadays, with inflation and taxes. That person probably worked 8 hours to earn that $54 to go buy this Bear Grylls survival kit to walk out with 4 or 5 matches that are waterproof, and then also a little knife that really has a little multi-tool that really has no practical survival application. All right, it looks cool though. I will give you that. You slap your logo on it, and it looks cool. But you know what? Looks doesn't save your life. It doesn't. What saves your life is practicality and durability. So save your money. Don't go buy the Bear Grylls Ultimate Survival Kit. In my opinion, it's a waste of your money, honestly. Now, if you don't know anything about building a survival kit and you just want to have it because you're a big Bear Grylls fan, by all means, go get it. Be faithful to your hero. However, your hero wasn't being very faithful to you when he gave you 1 cotton ball and 3 matches, and you just dropped $54 American dollars at that on it. So if this was Europe, I imagine you guys are dropping like $80 to $90 for something that I wouldn't even pay you $15 for. So, see my point, people? Commercialization, you're paying for logos, you're paying for color schemes, and yeah, you are getting the product, but you're getting not nearly what you should be getting. Go buy some really strong tensile strength fishing line. Go get you some heavy duty fishing hooks and go get you some weights. They're really not that expensive. Make your own survival kit. For crying out loud, you can go to a hardware store, Ace Hardware, or you can go to Walmart's, or you can go to any outdoor store like Cabela's or Outdoor World or whatever, and go build you some survival kits by buying other people's products and include them in your kit, and go slap your logo on it and sell them. And I bet you your survival kits will do a lot of sales because if you compare them to what's commercial out there, it's laughable. All right. So now, another thing that was in the survival kit would be, worth talking about would have to be the storm blanket, the survival blanket. All right. I have an opinion about survival blankets. One, you should not use a survival blanket. And when I say survival blanket, I'm talking about the survival blanket that's very thin. It's like a film. And on the back side of it, it has a very reflective coating, kind of like a mirror reflection on it. And you could use that as, a signaling device to reflect sun. However, it doesn't really, in my opinion, last very long because it's so easy to punch holes through it. It's pretty easy. You get a little hole in it, next thing you know, it's ripping in half. All right, so what I would do is get you a survival blanket that does have one side that's mirrored and the other side that's colored, and I would either get one of 2 colors. One color would be royal blue. Royal blue is the international distress color. All right, so if you flip a royal blue tarp over or a survival blanket over and you pin that down to the ground, that becomes a signaling device, and that color in and of itself is a distress color. Royal blue, okay? And then on the other side you have that mirror reflection, and in the middle, if you can, get those little bubbles. You can either make your blanket yourself, or you can go and see if you can buy one commercially, but you want to have a survival blanket that's dual colored. It's going to have the mirror reflection on one side, the royal blue, or hunter's orange. All right, hunter's orange is so that you can be seen from a great distance and be recognized as, someone not to shoot at. Okay, so and in the United States we use a hunter's orange to let people know, hey, look, I'm not a deer or I'm not a turkey. Don't shoot me. All right, so. But if you can find the royal blue, I'd go with royal blue first before I would take the hunter's orange. But you're going to be okay if you take the hunter's orange for your survival blanket. So when you are trying to put together a kit, or you're looking for a commercially produced kit, make sure that before you spend your money, you actually review what it is that you're buying, and is it practical. I just bought a survival kit with Bear Grylls' signature on it. It came with 2 whistles. What was wrong with the other whistle? It didn't work good enough, so he had to give me 2. See what I'm saying? So, why you have a kit that comes with 2 of the same item? Now, it was a different style of the kit, but if you're going to put one item in the kit, then why not give me the best of the best item and take the other one away and replace that other item with something that the kit didn't include? That's my point, right? So, the kit did not come with a compass. And any survival kit should, in my opinion, have a compass. How expensive can a compass be? I see people have those little compasses on their watches. It should have had one of them in there. Your survival kit needs to have the ability to help you find direction, and cardinal direction at a minimum. You might not get to find degrees or get mils, but at least have cardinal direction, which is north, east, south, and west. And the Bear Grylls survival kit did not include a compass, so I find that hilarious. Because if you're out in the wilderness in a survival situation and that's your survival kit, how are you going to find your way out? How are you going to find rescue? So unless you've been taught what to do formally, or you've done a lot of independent research and are a hobbyist or self-proclaimed expert, how are you going to know what the right steps are to do to get self-rescue? All right. We all know that self-rescue is from the open area or the high ground. All right. We never go down or we never go in. We always stay out and we always stay seen. All right. And sometimes you might have to go up. You might want to avoid tall trees and stay in the open areas. So you want to go into an open grassy field or onto an open area like a beach or a plains or whatever, or the side of a mountain where you can be easily seen. And be able to signal and communicate either by color, sight, sound, reflection, noise, or by smoke, or by abstract color or contrast. Okay, so your ability to attract attention is going to come from your ability to gather the appropriate supplies on hand, and also your ability to think outside the box. And here we go with Dan Shrigley's Think Outside the Box. That's right. You guys got to think outside the box. If you did find yourself in a survival situation and it did involve the outdoors, sit down for a minute and meditate. Soak in your surroundings. Flip your mind into survival mode. Everything you see is a potential tool. It could be a certain shape of a rock, and you're like, wow, I can use that as an axe head. I can use that as an anvil. An anvil is something you might use to crack stones on another stone so you get a bladed instrument. There's a lot of things that you're going to be able to turn into a tool. You might find a walking stick. You might find a spear. You never know. So when you are in survival mode, start looking around. Start looking for plant fibers that you can twist together and reverse lock twist, so that way you can make cordage if you don't have cordage. All right, and conserve. Everything that's in your survival kit you want to conserve and only use when you really need to use it. It's not to be wasted. It's to be saved and used only when needed. All right, that's your survival kit. It's there as a tool to help you generate more tools, or it's there as a tool to help you generate shelter, help you with finding water or purifying it, or to help you make other tools and also gain food. So remember that. All right. If you don't know how to make a snare, then you need to research how to make a snare, because Bear Grylls Survival Kit gives you the tools, but nowhere in there, in that little Bear Grylls Survival brochure that's included, even suggests to you how to use some of these tools. It just give it to you expecting you to know what to do with them. But they're selling it to the people in the marketplace as a consumer that probably have no idea what to do with it, but they've seen Bear Grylls' face on the package when they're walking by the store. They recognize him from his TV shows, and they're like, that's Bear Grylls stuff, I gotta get it, that's so cool. Hey, Bobby, look what I bought at frickin' this store today. And they call their buddy up, oh man, I'm so jealous, I want to get a Bear Grylls this or that. All right, that's so cool, all right? Hey, it is kind of cool when you buy your hero stuff, and I'm not downplaying that. But if you're going to be a person that's selling some stuff, give instructions out to your consumer, Bear Grylls and Gerber, on how to use your stuff. All right, and we'll give them suggestions. Now, the survival brochure that Bear Grylls gives does give some good information, but I don't find anywhere in there about it talking about land navigation, dead reckoning, or terrain association, or map reading, or how to do pace count, or how to track your traveling distance in feet or mils, metric or standard. I don't see anything like that. There was no compass in there, so there's no orientation at all. So there's no dead reckoning, other than what you see is what you get, and you're walking to it, and hopefully you know how to keep a good azimuth naturally. All right, so put a good compass in there. Go and buy you a hiker's compass or a military lens-static compass that is radioactive and that will glow in the dark non-stop. You don't have to sit there and keep shining a flashlight on it to get the glow if you got to use it when traveling at night. Now, disclaimer. If you can avoid traveling at night, by all senses of the word, don't. Okay? Travel in the dusk or dawn hours if you need to conserve energy and calories. But I'd rather you travel in the daytime if it's not super hot out. So that way you don't sustain injuries like twisting your ankles, knocking your head, or, a lot of bad things can happen. Wear eye protection. Wear protection on your hands. Put gloves. You need to have these safety mechanisms in your survival kit. So you're going to want to have safety glasses, you're going to want to have gloves, you're going to want to have maybe an extra pair of socks, you're going to want to have some foot powder, because your biggest assets when you're in a survival situation is your hands and your feet and your eyes. All right, you're going to want to protect those are your extremities, and you want to protect those, because if those go down, that makes survival a whole lot harder. All right, so let's not do that. All right, so you're going to want to have stuff in your survival kit that's going to help you with drinking water, because your water is the number one resource for surviving. You got to hydrate. You can't live as long without water than you can food, so obviously your biggest concern should be, if I have water, how do I carry it? And if I don't have water, how do I find it? And if I find water, how do I treat it? And if I treat it, when can I drink it? All right, so let's do that. Your survival kit might even want to include a bladder bag, so that way it folds up, rolls up, but yet it's durable enough. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a secret, okay? In your survival kit, this is what I would recommend, folks. Now, listen up. Go get you one of those replaceable bags. There's a company that makes these backpacks that have these bladder bags, and I'm not endorsing their company so much, but I like the use of them. We use them in the military, so I'm going to say it like this, okay, because I'm not endorsing them, and they don't pay me to endorse them. But when I was in the Army issued me this product called a Camelback, all right, and that's the name of the company that made this, all right. But go buy a replacement bladder that comes with a tube and a suck piece that you can put in your mouth and nurse on it like straw. Roll that up. You don't need to have the backpack thing, because this is a replacement tube. Roll that up and have an extra one of those in your survival kit. So, and if you have the ability, because they're cheaper than going out and buying a full-on fledged kit, because these Camelbacks, they can go anywhere between $12 to on up to $50 to $125 on up, because they get into bigger bags, and so it's really up to you what you want to spend. But if you're a penny pincher and you just want to get the bag, get the bag, and then you can hang that from a tree off of a piece of rope, put it out in the solar energy of the sun, and then let the sun purify your water. It takes about 4 to 6 hours. Once that water hits a boiling point, it's safe to drink. It might not taste too good unless you filter it, but it is safe to drink. All right, so, and then you have that straw, which is at the bottom, so that gravity feeds into your mouth. You don't have to suck on it so hard. But you can also use that for health and hygiene and wash your hands and your face too. All right. Remember, just because you're not drinking it doesn't mean you still can't get cryptosporidium or giardia from it. All right. You can still get sick from water if it gets into your eyes, nose, and your mouth, and in your ears. All right. Your body can't absorb it through those orifices. So you got to be really careful. Make sure you treat your water, even if it's just water you're going to use for washing your hands or your face or whatnot, all right? And especially any other areas of your body. treat that water first, okay? It's better. Especially for females, you want to definitely treat that water, especially if you're washing in sensitive areas. You want to make sure that that water's been boiled and maybe even filtered, okay? And you can build natural filters, and they also have commercially produced filters. They have filter straws out there. They have filter pumps. They can filter up to 500 gallons, these filter pumps, and on up. And then the filter straws, they can filter up to 300 to 500 gallons of water. It just depends on what the package says. They're not very expensive, but put a filter straw in your survival kit. All right? And then if you know how to make a natural filter and how to properly do the layering using natural raw materials, like birch bark. Birch bark's really thin. You can cut it out and then sheet it and then make a cone out of it. And then you can put grass at the bottom of it. And then you throw in a little bit of, pebbles. And then you put in a little bit of clean soil. And then you throw in more pebbles, clean soil. If you have any, if you had a fireplace going, you can pull out some of the charcoal from the fire pit and bust that up and then make a layer, like 3 layers throughout. And then you pack that down and you pour water through it. And that will filter your water just fine. And that will improve the taste of your water or the palate of the water for you, and make it taste a little bit more drinkable and because sometimes drinking water out of the wild, it's got this funky fishy wild flavor to it, and you're like, I wonder what I'm drinking. It's got algae in it, it's got a lot of parasites in it, and so you want to at least filter your water, but always boil your water if you can. All right, boiling is your best option. Then they have chemical treatment, which is chlorine dioxide tablets or droplets. You can put one in there, and then you can drink it right away. You just shake it, mix it up a little bit, and you're safe to drink that. You're basically putting you're bleaching your water and killing everything in it, but specifically you're looking for chlorine dioxide. All right, so. And then iodine, that came from Vietnam guys were using iodine, and they got to treat their water, and then they got to wait, and they can't just drink it right away, and because the iodine takes a while, it has to go through a chemical process, and when you're dying of thirst, you don't really want to wait, and I've seen survival experts on television, kneel down next to the stream. I just caught Matt Graham on episode 5 of Dual Survival season 4 or season 5 or whatever, episode 5 or whatever. Yeah, he was crouching down drinking water that he thinks was coming out of a spring, but he's a little bit away from the source of the spring, and by this time it's now in a running creek, and he's drinking untreated water. And, Mr. Joe Teddy, self-proclaimed military special ops guy that hasn't proven it yet, and went and killed a domesticated dog on film because it was chasing a cat or something. I don't know. Guys, I'm not a big Joe Teddy fan, obviously. Neither's Michael Hawk. And, but there might be some of you that are, and, to each their own. But if you are a Joe Teddy fan, I just ask you to do one thing. Don't believe his military record until he shows a DD-214. If he doesn't show it, it's not a secret document. I don't care how much he swears up and down. I know many people that have top secret security clearances in military intelligence that I served with in the military. And every single, and you'll get this on a DD-214 briefing when you out-process your branch of service, that they are confidential only because it maintains your next of kin and your social security number for identity theft purposes. That's the only thing. It's a sensitive document, making it confidential. But there is no such thing as a secret DD-214. That's just BS. They don't exist. All right. A DD-214 is designed for you to show employers so you can get some benefits on getting hired in veteran preference, and also some benefits medically with the Department of Veteran Affairs, and some educational benefits when you get out. So that's what they're for. So if Joe Teddy's sitting there telling his audience that his DD-214 is it's top secret, then Joe Teddy is living in a delusional world, and he can come and sue me if he wants. He ain't gonna get much. You know what I mean? So what? You can't squeeze water from a rock. All right. So anyway, but I would like to get back on track. Your survival kit, it needs to have things that will sustain each person in your environment. So if you have kids, you're going to have to put the considerations for your kids in there. And you're also going to realize that children have other needs that you don't, but they do, and you're going to need to have that. So those needs could be diapers, those needs could be wipes, those needs could be medicine. If you're a parent and you have little ones, the needs are going to be greatly different than if you had teenagers. All right. Your survival kit needs to have the basic necessities for life sustainment and easy mobility to self-rescue or sustain and reach, an egress or an escape from your situation. So, extra pair of socks, maybe an extra shirt in it. I'm not telling you that your survival kit has to be small, folks. It just has to be thoroughly packed. It needs to be something that you could, it could be a backpack. And you can put your backpack in the trunk of your car. You can put that, in the back of the car or the truck or whatever. But in that backpack, it has everything essential for survival that you would need, all right? We're not talking cookies. We're not talking Capri Suns. We're talking things that generate more things, all right? So I'm going to put items in my survival kit that help produce more food, all right? Rather than putting food in my kit that I'm going to eat and it's going to be a one-time deal and it's gone, I'm going to put items in my survival kit that will help me find more food. Also, I would highly recommend that you include into your survival kit a survival guide and maybe a plan on botany, a book on plants and botany, all right? What you can and cannot eat, what is dangerous, but a specific book that specializes in it because it's going to list more. And also, you could consider looking for a regionally specific map of the area that you either live in or would be headed to or be in if you did get lost. All right, so have that because that's going to be of great value. And I always go with the military grid reference system because I like it. It's a lot more accurate. It does take some practice to learn how to use it, but there's a lot of videos on YouTube that you can watch and learn how to read maps. You can self-educate, and if you can't, go take a class. They're not that hard to locate. There's survival schools all over the United States. Or you can call me and get me on the phone or send me an email, and I'll get in touch with you if you really need me to give you a walkthrough. If I think it's going to save your life and I know you're going on a trip, I might give you some pointers of what to do or how to use your tool, all right? So if you have questions or comments or concerns, please send them to Daniel@DanielShrigley.com. Go visit my website, DanielShrigley.com, or find me on my Daniel Shrigley official page on Facebook, or you can find me on Twitter at Dan Shrigley. I look forward to speaking with any of you or answering back and getting your questions answered. And maybe I might even answer them on a radio show. So visit DanielWShrigley.com. Go read the blog. I've got a lot of blog articles I put up that you guys might find a lot of use for. And go on down into the history of the blog and look and find topics that interest you. All right? And maybe you'll walk away knowing something that you didn't know before. All right? Because in survival, it's basically knowledge is power. All right, because the more you know, the less you need. All right, and in survival, I talk about psychology a lot, and the psychology of survival is fear is not an option, and that's why I mentioned to you earlier about if you are in a survival situation, sit down and meditate, soak up your environment, calm yourself down. If you're lost, remember, hey, you got there. And you got there being alive, so let's get you out being alive, all right? Because dead people don't walk and get lost. Live people do. So if you could get lost, you can get unlost, people. Come on now, all right? We just need to learn how to turn your environment into a tool. Learn how to use the shadow stick or shadow tip method to gain cardinal direction. Learn how to look for the rise and fall of the sun and which direction the sun is moving, because that will give you from east to west, okay? It doesn't matter if you're in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, okay, people? All right, and you know, if you find a body of water, track that body of water, walk it, go with the flow, because the flow is going to be what takes you to civilization. All bodies of water that are moving always lead into a bigger body of water unless it goes underground. All right, and that is known to happen, where you'll be walking along a river and it disappears underground, and that's because it went into an underground cave system. I would not go exploring in a survival situation unless you have a buddy with you, and you have the proper equipment to take the risk of going down to find the water and collect it. Okay, you see a lot of things on TV that I will end up doing and other people have done or are doing, but in the real world situation, it's all about mitigating risk and risk safety factors. All right, we want to slim the risk down. We don't want to take unnecessary risk, you know, so we want to turn our environment into a tool and think smartly, think outside the box. If you listen to all my radio episodes, if you go to my blog, you're going to learn the things you need to know. All right, don't go to YouTube looking for instructional videos from Dan Shrigley, because I don't really put them up there, because I have a radio platform to do that, and I used YouTube mostly to do some promo work for some film projects that I've been working on for the last 3 years, and it just takes a lot to make a film project come to life. It just takes a lot, but we never give up. We just keep pressing forward. Eventually, it will happen. You know, I look at it like this: if it took me 20 years to make it happen, you know what? 20 years from now, I'll be like, I finally did it, and I'm giving the world what they've been waiting 20 years for. But if it happens next year, it happens next year. You know, I've got my heart broken with Survival Trek Escape going on TV more times than I can count, because there's always a hiccup involved with film production. All right, and a lot of that has to do with revenue. A lot of that happens to do with many things. So, but you just never give up on your dreams. And my dreams are to save people's lives all around the world. That's what I want to do. I want to save people's lives by sharing knowledge that I get. Either I've gained it through my past, I've gained it through my military, or I've gained it through self-education or practical use and experience. And I'm always reading, I'm always talking to people, I'm always learning, and it's amazing. I know more about, I've probably forgotten more about survival than I can remember, honestly. But I'm continually reminding myself and continually learning new little things that, you know, I can't wait to show you folks on how to do stuff. And there's a way to tie in things from different occupations into other occupations that culminate and become survival tools. So it's pretty neat. You know, everybody, I think, knows something instinctively about survival. We just want to enhance it, and that's my focus. Is I want to make you guys better and stronger and faster and more self-reliant. You know, and there's the doomsday prepper side of things. There's the wilderness survival prepper side of things. There's the outdoor explorer, hunter side of survival. So survival is very broad and full spectrum, and and I try to hit as much of everything that I can. You know, there's tracking. You know, there's stalking. There's so much, and eventually we will hit all the marks and get that information out to you as thoroughly and accurately as possible, because you guys deserve it. All right, so thank you for tuning in. I had another honorable time talking to you. It's always an honor to share. I hope you get some feedback by you guys. You know, whenever we're doing a live broadcast, you can always join in and leave me live messages through the Spreaker app. This program is going to be bleeded over, along with all the other episodes, over to iHeartRadio under Survival Talk Radio goes in under iHeart under a different title. It's called Survival Trek Escape Talk Radio. Okay, so it's Survival Trek Escape on iHeart, and it's Survival Talk Radio on Spreaker. All right, so but go visit www.danielshrigley.com. It has some links on there. If you happen to be on some social media links that you recognize, go ahead and follow over. Send me a friend request. Join my public figure pages. I would, be happy to see you guys there. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or input that you want to share, hit me up on my email address at daniel@danielshrigley.com. Thank you for listening in, and I hope you walk away learning something.
You're listening to Daniel W. Shrigley's Survival Talk Radio, the official survival talk radio of America's Survival Son. Come and learn survival.
Daniel Shrigley, America's survival son. Daniel Shrigley, America's survival son. Daniel Shrigley, surviving against the odds. Daniel Shrigley, America's survival son. America's survival song. America's survival song. America's survival son. Survive this.